Welcome to Outside Views. Today we're exploring a question that's both intriguing and complex. Will Donald Trump go easy on Britain in his new term because of Brexit? This topic taps into the heart of the relationship between the UK and the USA, especially in the wake of both Brexit and Trump's recent election victory. With Trump poised to introduce significant tariffs and potentially reframe US trade policies, the impact on Britain could be considerable. I talked about this yesterday already. Yet some analysts and politicians believe Trump's sympathy for Brexit may lead him to soften his stance towards the UK. So let's dive into the factors at play here and explore how Trump's return to the White House might shape Britain's economic future. First, let's consider why some observers think Trump might go easy on the UK. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy recently commented that Trump has an embedded sympathy for Brexit. Murphy, a Democrat, pointed to the timing of both Brexit and Trump's rise in 2016. He suggested that Trump might feel an affinity for Britain as a country that chose to leave a large bureaucracy, much like Trump's own political movement challenged the Washington establishment. So, could this personal sympathy actually influence US policy? It's possible, especially given Trump's well-documented admiration for leaders who defy traditional systems and embrace nationalism. Trump has always had a somewhat complicated view of the European Union, famously calling it a foe in a 2018 interview. He saw the EU as a competitive force in trade that often took advantage of the US. With Trump's return, his stance on the EU remains unchanged, and it's likely the EU will continue to be viewed with skepticism, if not outright hostility. In contrast, the UK's decision to leave the EU may give it a unique advantage in Trump's eyes, especially if he sees Britain as distancing itself from what he views as an adversarial bloc. Now, Trump's focus has always been on renegotiating trade deals to favor US interests. He's promised a sweeping trade agenda that could involve significant tariffs, potentially up to 20% on all imports to the US. Such tariffs would undoubtedly hit Britain hard, as the US is the UK's largest export market. And this threat of tariffs has raised concerns in the UK, with trade experts wondering if Britain could secure an exception or carve-out from these broad measures. Governor Murphy hinted that there might indeed be a lane for the UK to negotiate more favorable terms with the US, largely because of Trump's gut feeling about Brexit. But just how far will this sympathy go? Will it be enough to fully protect the UK from Trump's protectionist policies? On the one hand, Trump's alignment with Brexit could mean that the UK is spared from some of the harsher measures he plans to implement. On the other, his allegiance to America first is unwavering, and he may not hesitate to impose tariffs if he believes it's in the US best interest. Even if Trump does sympathize with Britain's post-Brexit path, it's still unclear whether that sympathy will translate into policy concessions. In addition, there's the question of party alignment. Previously, Trump dealt with conservative prime ministers like Theresa May and Boris Johnson. Now he will be working with Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, which has historically aligned more closely with US Democrats. And this shift could complicate the relationship. In fact, Trump's campaign has already shown signs of tension with Starmer's government, especially after Labour activists were accused of blatant foreign interference for supporting Democratic efforts in the recent US election. Trump's team even filed a federal complaint in response, claiming that Labour's involvement was inappropriate. It's fair to wonder if this incident will color Trump's perception of Starmer and, by extension, Britain's place in his broader foreign policy plans. Yet, for all the complexities, the UK has reasons to hope that Trump might be open to a strong partnership. The geopolitical landscape has changed significantly, and Trump's policies could drive Britain closer to the US, especially as both countries navigate their own challenges with the EU. There's also a broader economic consideration here. Analysts from Goldman Sachs have suggested that British stocks might actually perform better than their European counterparts under a Trump presidency. This is because of the high level of US exposure within the FTSE 100, with nearly 30% of its revenues tied to the American market. And Trump's corporate tax cuts could benefit US-oriented British businesses, creating potential gains for certain sectors of the UK economy. However, it's important to note that this advantage won't shield all British industries. And new tariffs Trump introduces would still place significant strain on sectors that rely on exporting to the US, particularly manufacturing and agriculture. Additionally, Trump's trade approach may not be as straightforward as it seems. He's known for his transactional style, often using tariffs as leverage to extract concessions from other nations. And this means the UK could find itself caught in Trump's broader trade war, not just with the EU, but with China and other trading partners as well. If Trump imposes sweeping tariffs on China, for example, it could create ripple effects across global markets, indirectly impacting the UK. In the face of these uncertainties, the UK's best move might be to keep its options open and avoid aligning too closely with any single partner. While Trump may look more favorably on Brexit Britain, there's no guarantee he'll prioritize the UK's interests over his own domestic goals. And this leads us to the big question. Can Britain truly rely on Trump's sympathy for Brexit as a foundation for favorable US relations? Some trade experts argue that Britain would be wise to seek a broader range of international partnerships rather than putting too much faith in a volatile US administration. One possible path forward for Britain is to strengthen its relationship with individual US states, as it has done with New Jersey, its second largest trading partner. But trade deals are impossible on that. Only memorandums of understanding will be possible. In fact, New Jersey and the UK signed a memorandum of understanding in 2021 to encourage trade and investment, and Governor Murphy believes that state-level agreements can withstand the challenges posed by federal policies. But state-level agreements can only go so far. They won't replace a comprehensive national trade deal with the US. And as things stand, a fully fledged trade deal with the US remains elusive, particularly given the sticking points around food standards and regulatory alignment. I talked about the problems there yesterday already. And Trump's first term in office highlighted this challenge. He sought to export US agricultural products to the UK, which would require Britain to lower its food standards to allow imports that currently don't meet EU criteria. Starmer, however, has emphasized his desire to align more closely with EU standards, particularly in areas like food safety and environmental protections. And this puts Britain in a difficult position. If it moves to meet US demands, it risks complicating its relationship with the EU. But if it chooses alignment with the EU, a US trade deal may become even harder to achieve than it already is. So in short, Trump's sympathy for Brexit may only go so far when it comes to actual trade policy. As we've seen time and again, Trump's loyalty is primarily to his America First agenda, and he may not hesitate to impose tariffs if he believes they'll benefit the US. So what can the UK realistically expect from a Trump presidency? The best case scenario might involve a partial exemption from some tariffs, particularly if Trump sees strategic value in keeping Britain as an ally. However, it's unlikely that Britain will receive a complete free pass. The UK government may need to adopt a pragmatic approach, balancing relationships with both the EU and the US to avoid over-reliance on any one partner. As Britain navigates this new chapter with Trump in the White House, it's clear that Brexit has brought both opportunities and challenges in forging a distinct global role. But if there's one lesson to take from Trump's political style, it's that nothing is guaranteed. The UK must be prepared for both cooperation and conflict, and it may find that Trump's sympathy for Brexit is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. So thanks for watching Outside Views, and if you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe for more discussions on the issues shaping our post-Brexit world. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged, and the next video is right here in the end screen.